from somewhere
deep inside of me. Does it come from a
demon or is it from divinity? I don't know my own voice
when it takes control?
I'm like a scream from the gallows, like an empty soul. Sometimes when I close my eyes, I feel all humanity.
So you asked if we're a fan of this movie, if we're really a fan of this movie. We only ran into this movie 3-4 months ago.
Yeah.
That's when we discovered this movie. We found it on a trailer reel that had been stitched together on Tubi of essentially just other schlocky 80 B movies
Of that era, yeah.
Of that era that ran for about an hour 45 minutes. And I was just watching
and that was like the middle trailer of that reel. And I was like, I'm very interested in this movie. So I looked it up right after that and found it on Tubi, and we watched it the next day, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We watched the next day, and you go into a movie like that with a certain series of expectations because you've seen a trailer and you're like, okay, I am down for a movie called Voyage of the Rock Aliens, in which we have a group of rock and roll aliens searching for rock around the universe. And then you actually get into the movie, and like I said, if you loved camp, this movie is for you because it just throws camp at you from every single direction. You start off with I'm watching it again just a few days ago, and the spaceship, it doesn't have a teleporter. It doesn't have a dropship, which would be logical to have one of the two. It instead has a dropship teleporter, which is the most unnecessary thing I've ever seen.
Kind of redundant.
It is
right.
That is true. I didn't even
have one or the other.
Right. As we're watching it the other day, just having fun with it, and we're watching it, and Pia Sedora, she does a very deep voice while singing throughout the song, which is a lot of fun if you want to sing along with her.
Yeah.
It just makes it super,
Alan was
super
belting
great.
out to all the songs.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of fun with it over the 4 months that we've found it, and we really hope that it gets a lot bigger following. We think it definitely deserves one.
Oh yeah, we've seen it like about maybe 4 or 5 times now, and I still haven't gotten tired of it.
Yeah.
I would be down to watch. If we put it on right now, I'd watch it.
I'm sure we've actually watched it more than 4 or 5 times.
Probably
We've
by
watched
now,
it 2
yeah.
times within the last couple of days, and we've watched it. But yeah, no, Voyage was a fantastic find, just instantly rocketing to honestly our favorite bad movie. I mean, we discussed it. There's other really great bad movies out there that you're probably not familiar with, like The Peanut Butter Solution or things like that.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard of The Peanut Butter Solution?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a great right.
We never find anybody that knows that movie.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Never seen it.
Well, that'd be a really fun one for you to watch with your son, Mark. If you want a really fun movie to watch with your son, it's a
good one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on with us and giving everybody an update on what is happening with the rock aliens themselves. It's been a lot of fun doing this episode and researching the movie, and we are just so appreciative to be able to catch up with you guys and find out everything that you're up to.
Yes, we look forward to hearing more from you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here.
And I appreciate that you guys were so prepared.
Oh,
thank you. That means a lot to us.
Great having you guys.
worries.
Thank you so much. We'll be keeping
Pleasure.
in
Thank you,
contact.
guys.
I can't wait to hear about those country music jams. I'm looking forward to those, Jeff. I'll hit you up on those.
Oh yeah.
And we'll keep everybody
You got
posted
it.
on Voyage of the Rock Aliens. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Wow, that was a lot of fun, everybody. But we actually have some more facts for you, even beyond what we had in the interview there.
Yeah, we do.
So with that being said, let's get down to them, shall we?
Yep, let's do it.
The original writer of this script was one S. James Guidetti. He helped develop the original screenplay, while Edward Gould helped adapt it into a more commercial vehicle, while also turning it into a musical. James Guidetti is notably difficult to research, as he's only occasionally credited with one other film. Elvis is Alive, I Just Saw Him Eating at the Piggly Wiggly. It's a 1998 film that's really only notable for having a cameo from Fred Willard.
Guidetti has described his formative years as a youth misspent watching B-grade horror films and listening to rock and roll. He has also called his story a parody on 1950s upbeat American optimism.
So we were able to find this comment from him about the movie, and we felt it was pretty interesting. According to Guidetti, the movie is supposed to be, quote, a little like sitting home and watching TV late on a Saturday night, all while switching from channels from 5 to 9 to 11 to 13. And on Channel 5, they're airing an old beach party movie. On 9, one about alien invaders. On 11, it's a film about a mad homicidal maniac on the loose. And on 13, it's a rock and roll program. I think that actually sums up the whole concept for the movie really well.
It really does.
It does.
Other than that, I can find almost nothing on him besides a very short paragraph bio on an obscure website. He has no Wikipedia, no Facebook, no LinkedIn, really no online presence at all, from what I can tell. There was very little I could find here.
So this movie has a lot of musical credits. I mean, a lot of them.
A lot. This movie features 4 different bands. 2 of the bands, Rhema and Jimmy and the Mustangs, are primary cast in the film, while the other 2, Real Life and 3 Speed, each recorded songs for the movie.
On top of all those bands, the movie also features 10 different singers and 22 different songs.
Pia Zadora won a Golden Globe Award for New Star of the Year, and a Golden Raspberry for Worst Actress and Worst New Star in the same year. All 3 of which for her performance in the 1981 movie Butterfly, a movie which debuted just 3 years before this one.
Pia Zadora was actually the first person cast for this film. She was chosen for her array of talents, from acting to singing to Broadway. She had been in performances like Fiddler on the Roof, playing Teve's youngest daughter, Belky. She'd been in various other movies and even topped the top 40 Billboard charts with her cover of Shirley Ellis's The Clapping Song. And that being said, I've listened to both now. And Pia...
Don't even try with Shirley Ellis, because she got me wrong.
For anyone listening, the original is the way better version of the song.
Craig Sheffer, the actor who played Frankie, well, he actually chose this role over a television series, another movie, and a Broadway play.
So Tom Nolan was actually chosen to play Absid because Rhema's test screening had gone so poorly and the producers wanted somebody with some actual acting credentials, to kind of help fill out the cast there.
So after the screen test, Rhema's bassist, Bobby Freeman, was unceremoniously cut from the rest of the cast. The producers really wanted the name brand actor and opted Tom Nolan for the role of Absid, leaving Bobby the odd man out.
The band ended up with this gig because Dick Whitehouse, then president of Curb Records, needed a techno band for the film. He learned of Rhema through an acquaintance of his.
During the Battle of the Bands scene, Mark Jackson accidentally punched Pia Zadora in the eye.
The sea monster that you see throughout this movie was actually supposed to bleed when he was cut by Michael Berryman. But the blood and gore was deemed too graphic for the movie that they were making, so they decided to cut it out altogether.
Right.
And go with the whole Bubbles thing.
Yeah, Bubbles. Just the tip.
Just the tip.
So, Michael Berryman, who plays Chainsaw in this movie, he's probably most memorable as Pluto from Hills of Eyes, but he's also been in Weird Science, The Devil's Rejects, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He's a pretty prolific actor.
He also stars in another movie that we're going to be doing this year. We're not spoiling which one it is here, so it'll be up to all of you guys to guess which one it is for the time being.
Originally, Michael Berryman didn't want to do the scene where he cuts a hole around Stovitz in the fence. So a crew member was then assigned to the role, but apparently he had put the chain in backwards. Michael Berryman saw this and he, sprang into action and intervened before anyone could get hurt. This near mishap is why he ended up doing the scene himself.
This really made me wonder about the how you treat your tools scene at first, because for quite a while, I had really theorized that was something that they had put in last minute, especially when I heard that there were so many last minute edits to the script.
Right.
But then you start to notice all of the little details.
Like the chain falling off and stuff.
Well, with the chain falling off, yes, I know, it mimics exactly what happens. But then also there's all the details with Alison LaPlaca and her character, Diane, and there's just all these details that really establish her being a mechanic.
Right.
From the
get-go, really.
Right from the get-go, if you're really paying attention and look for them. And that kind of made me a little bit more dismissive of the scene because it makes a lot more sense, because then there's no setup and payoff for any of those scenes without the Michael Berryman chainsaw scene.
Right, exactly.
I guess since we're mentioning all of the little details that help to establish Diane as a mechanic, there's her coming up to the tractor, right, in the end of the Combine Man
Right.
sequence. She comes up to the tractor with some tools, and it looks like she's going to fix them or something.
Right? Isn't like a wrench her hairpin?
Yeah, she has a wrench for her hairpin.
And then she also has nuts and bolts for earrings.
Yeah, she has nuts and bolts for her earrings, and there's even a little scene in the diner where somebody comes up to her and calls her a gear monkey or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's right. This movie never got a full theatrical release. It premiered in Germany, but only after Let's Dance Tonight became a top 40 Billboard hit. Then it came to America, but only a year later, and only to 4 cities for single screenings. The movie's success was far greater in Europe than in North America and saw developing cult fan bases in countries like Germany, where it saw a full Blu-ray release.
After those first 4 American screenings, it had a very brief release on Canadian daytime TV on the Canadian First Choice Super Channel, where it aired for about 6 months. I'm completely unsure of how many people saw it here, and I can only
Right.
speculate.
I wasn't here then.
I know, it's one of those Ask a Canadian questions where if you're Canadian and you saw this in your youth, please tell me, because I'm curious. As far as after the Canadian release, it was only available in a Swedish and a France screening, which it saw single screenings a year later and then a year after that, respectively. It then came to America as a very poor bootleg VHS copy, which I
Right.
know we've already mentioned.
1988.
1988, and remarkably expensive, $85 at the time.
Jesus.
$200 in today's money.
God.
And Mark Jackson, like we've said, remarkably had to actually buy a copy for himself just to be able to watch this schlocky movie. It's a real shame. And after that, it saw no releases for several more years until it would see a very poor direct-to-DVD bootleg of the VHS in the UK.
Right.
And then after that, of course, I think we've gone into it, it then premiered in Trailer Wars. Then we see the German release, the German Blu-ray. Then it gets its multi-format release. And then mystery abounds in the future.
There were music videos made for almost every song in this movie, and almost all of them were just the scenes from the movie. Re-edited a little bit, right?
Re-edited a little bit. I watched one of them, which featured Diane and Chainsaw as they're chasing each other around in an arcade. Like they're part of the arcade.
Really?
Yeah, I guess the idea is they're the arcade characters, or they're characters in an arcade game.
But this wasn't in the movie?
No, it's not in the movie, and it's just a brief snippet of them running, one chasing the other across screen that they then staple onto a few arcade cabinets. It was slightly disappointing because all of us, I think, were hoping for just a tiny bit more romance between Diane and Chainsaw.
Well, I'm happy with what we got.
I'm happy with what we got. It was more than what I expected, honestly.
I feel like if they gave too much, it would be just a little bit overbearing.
Right? You don't want an independent spin-off?
Right. No, I wouldn't really want one.
I'd be down for the independent spin-off, the Diane Chainsaw spin-off that would have nowhere to go.
Can you limit it to an hour?
I guess it really would need...
It'd have to be the Diane and Chainsaw special.
Right.
That's cute.
Right. You actually script in being canceled into the show, so it only runs 4 episodes.
Right, yeah.
And then it gets canceled mid-episode.
So the character of Spider, the saxophonist of Jimmy and the Mustangs, he was originally supposed to be called Beef.
The band hired Spider to join the gang only 2 days before rehearsals began because the band needed a saxophone player to fulfill the requirements of the movie.
And I think he stayed with the band even after the movie, right? Because, as far as I know, he is the only member of Jimmy and the Mustangs to have passed away.
And my first research, I was able to find out that Jimmy and the Mustangs were still doing shows as recently as 2016.
Yeah,
but Nohea says you found out that they are definitely still
They
together.
did one as soon as last year.
As recently as last year, yeah. As you all probably know by this point, Jimmy and the Mustangs, as well as Rhema, had to take acting classes that lasted for 2 months prior to filming, as they had no previous acting experience. I feel like these acting classes were probably just a waste of time.
Probably. It's probably like